Namaste, my name is Avneet and I work as a Chief Experience Officer with Gadventures. I've been leading trips in India and Nepal for over 6 years. And currently I'm home in the state called Punjab. I'm sure you must have heard about the big fat Punjabi wedding. We are famous for our lavish weddings. But jokes apart, Punjab is a beautiful state. It has a very fertile soil and that's why it largely contributes towards agriculture. And agriculture is our primary source of livelihood here in India. Punjab is also famous for its music, its culture, beautiful dresses, the delicious food, and the famous dance called Bhangra. I know you and I are sitting at home and getting bored wondering how to pass our time, but this is a great opportunity to learn new skills. And what could be better than cooking? I personally believe cooking is a great form of meditation because it allows you to stay in the present moment. Because if you're not present, you're probably having burnt food for dinner. So today I will teach you how to make masala chai and let you in on the secrets of how to cook Indian curry to perfection. But before we go ahead with it, I would love to know in the comments below which all country are you watching this video from. Also, if you've been to India before, and the ones who are planning their visit, which all cities would you like to see? So here's a question to the one who've been to India. Have you had chai from the famous chai walas? The ones who are wondering who chai walas are as famous as Starbucks. You'll find them in every nook and corner. Yes, I'm talking about the street vendors who sell the most perfect masala chai one could ever have. I've almost come to believe that they have a secret ingredient that none of us know about. Because despite of cooking it so many times, it's never as good. But don't you worry. What I will teach you today is the best that I know. So for masala chai, we would require water, about 2 cups, about 3/4 cup of milk, about 1 inch of grated ginger, sugar, tea, and about 4 to 5 pods of cardamom. So we'll take the saucepan and add about 2 cups of water. So this will serve about 2 people. So about 250 ml of water, and we will let it boil. Whilst it's boiling, in a mortar and pestle, I will grind the cardamom. So you can take about 4 to 5 pods or maybe more if you like the aroma and the flavor of cardamom. And the reason why I'm crushing it is because the moment you crush a whole spice, it releases an oil, which makes it easier for the water to absorb the flavor and the aroma of the spice. I'll add about 2 teaspoons of Assam tea, grated ginger, and now I will let it boil for about a minute. So a lot of you must have Googled the recipe for masala chai, and you must have noticed that a lot of recipes says that you need to add more spices. So India is a vast country and it has different climatic conditions. So if you go further up north, it is much colder than down south. And depending on how cold a region is, the recipe of masala chai varies. So the spices that you see people living in colder regions would add are the spices that have a warming effect on your body. And that's the reason why they would make their masala chai a lot more spicier. But if you go further down south, you'll see that they would prefer to stick to the traditional way of making masala chai, which is adding only cardamom and cinnamon. In some places you would see that along with the cardamom, they would add cinnamon as well. So the water has now come to a boil. So it took about a minute. And now I would be adding 3/4 cup of milk and also the sugar, which is about 4 teaspoons of sugar. Now sugar is as per taste, but Indians generally like a lot of sugar in their tea. So the chai walas know that, and that's why the chai tastes so much better. So as I was mentioning about the spices, now if you go further up north, the spices that you'd see them adding into their chai would be clove, peppercorn, star anise, fennel seed, and cinnamon. So you need to make sure that when you're grinding the cardamom, you add these spices along with cardamom and grind them, because as I mentioned, the moment you grind a whole spice, it releases the oil, which helps the water to absorb its aroma and its flavor. So you must have noticed that I added the spices and tea in the water, and that was right in the beginning. The reason why I did that was the longer it boils in the water, the stronger the flavor gets. So I took about a minute to boil the spices and the tea in the water, and then I added about 3/4 cup of milk. And now I will boil it for another 2 to 3 minutes. So the longer you boil it, the stronger the flavor of the tea gets. And if you want to make it more creamier, you could also boil it for another 2 to 3 minutes so that it further thickens. Now, the origin of masala chai is not clearly known, but tea became popular in India during the British era. So the British cultivated tea in India and exported it to various parts of the world. However, over the decades, we've added our own flavors and spices and made a new concoction, which we now call it masala chai. And it's almost become as essential as anything else in our lives. So if we have to wake up, our mothers need to give us a nice cup of masala chai. And that's how we start our day. But masala chai is not just an essential drink for us, but it also has various health benefits. So the spices that we add in a chai helps in digestion. If you have a sore throat, it helps it soothe the sore throat. It also relieves aches and pains, and that's why when we finish work and come home, we have a masala chai. And of course, we squeeze in 2 to 3 cups in between as well. You'd be surprised to know that the production, the amount of tea we cultivate in India, almost about 70% of it is used in India. So our chai is ready. And now, using a strainer, we will strain it into the cup. Another thing you'll notice is when you're boiling the chai, how would you know that it's cooked is by looking at its color. So if it's getting darker brown and pinkish is when you see that the chai, the tea particularly, is properly mixed with the other ingredients that we added. So here's our masala chai, it's ready. So in India, whenever we have guests over, we always offer them masala chai. So I invite you all to come to India and experience the hospitality here of all of us. I hope you enjoyed the masala chai. So now we'll do the second part of the demonstration, which is cooking the base of the Indian curry. So now when you go to Indian restaurants, you must have noticed that there are a lot of curries. It's almost difficult to choose sometimes. But all these curries have a base. And that's how Indian restaurants are able to serve the dishes on time. So if you haven't got the base of the curry right, the curry will never taste as delicious. So what the Indian restaurants do is that they make the base in the morning and then they add it to different curries that they would serve to the guests later. So we'll learn how to make the base of the masala today. So for that, we'd require a cooking pot. Put it on medium flame, and we would add about 4 tablespoons of cooking oil. So here I've used olive oil because it's a healthy form of oil. But you could use any cooking oil, any vegetable oil, sunflower oil, groundnut oil, even clarified butter if you want the curry to be rich, which we in India call ghee. So whilst the oil is heating, I'll just show you what all do I have in this tray. So I have different spices here. So this one is crushed coriander seed powder. I've got cumin seed, salt, red chili pepper, dried fenugreek leaves, turmeric powder, and I've got garam masala. So the garam masala here are whole spices in the bowl, which I'll just explain you in a bit. I have finely chopped onions. I took about 2 medium-sized onions and finely chopped it. I here have a tomato puree, which is made out of 3 medium-sized tomatoes. And whilst I was making the puree, I also added 2 green chilies. So if you want your curry to taste more spicy, you could add 1 or 2 extra green chilies whilst you were making the puree. Now, although we would still be using red chili powder, but to make the curry spicier, if you use green chili instead of red chili, it is more healthy because the green chilies are said to have an effect on your metabolism. It increases your metabolism and it's healthier for your stomach because red chili is a dry chili. So it's likely to affect the inner lining of your stomach. And here I have ginger garlic paste. So I see that the oil is hot already. So I will add about 2 teaspoons of cumin seed. So you'll notice that the moment you add the cumin seed, it starts crackling. So you need to make sure that you cook it in the proper temperature, because if the oil is too hot, you're likely to burn the cumin seeds. So I see that it's already changed the color to golden, which is a sign that it's cooked properly. And now I will add the finely chopped onions. Onions is surprisingly considered to be an underrated vegetable. But only a desi cook, desi means Indian, only an Indian cook would know the importance of onion. So onion is like a star of the recipe. It is what brings the flavor, enhances the flavor of the spices. There's a joke in India where we say that when the prices of onions rise, that's when India comes to a standstill. We do not know what to do because we cannot make Indian curry without onions. But as important as onion is as an ingredient to our curries, it's very important that we know when the onions are cooked. And how do you find that out? Is when you're cooking it, you notice that it's turning golden brown and the corners of the onion is turning translucent. So that's when you know that the onions are cooked. So I've put it on medium flame. So in India, we believe the best part about the Indian cooking is that there's no right or wrong. All recipes in India, they're all right. If you have butter chicken in north of India, and if you travel further down south and have butter chicken there, you'll notice that the recipe, the taste of it is completely different. Or at least it'll be much sweeter if you go down south because they prefer having butter chicken that way. So there's no right and wrong. It's just the technique. You need to know how to cook the curry. The technique should be right. As I mentioned, that you need to know when the onions cooked properly. So it's the technique. You should know your spices, the spices that you prefer adding to your curry, you need to know the right ingredients, and you could make a very delicious Indian curry. So the reason why I say that it's very important for us to know how to cook, whether the onions are cooked properly, is because if they're not cooked properly, the curry would end up tasting very sweet. Also, I would love to know in the comments below, what all recipes or what all curries do you prefer when you go to an Indian restaurant? What is it that you'd end up ordering? So I see that it's changing the color, but we'll still wait because it's not completely golden brown as of now. So after this turns a bit more golden brown, I will be adding the ginger and the garlic paste. Now the ginger and the garlic paste, to make this, I added about 1.5 to 2 inches of ginger and about 15 to 20 cloves. Again, if you like garlic, you can add about 20 cloves, and if not, about 15 cloves. So this base that I'm preparing today would serve about 3 to 4 people. Now, after I made this paste, I will be adding a little bit of water into the paste. And the reason why I'm doing that is because ginger and garlic paste tends to cook faster. So if it is not mixed with water, there's a likely chance that it will stick to the bottom of the cooking pot and get burnt, which will again leave a burnt flavor into the curry. So just make sure that you add a little bit of more water, so when you add it to the cooking pot, it does not stick to the bottom of it. So we'll cook this for about a minute, and then after that we will be adding different spices to it. So when we are making the masala base, what is important for us to know is that all the ingredients that we put into the masala are cooked properly. Now once you've made the masala, if say for example you would like to make a chicken curry. So if you're cooking a chicken curry, then once the masala is made, you add the chicken to the masala and you cook it in the masala so the chicken absorbs the masala, the flavors, the aroma of the spice, and you have to wait to see till it gets tender. Similarly, if you would like to have a vegetable curry, then you add vegetables to it and you saute it in the masala for about 5 minutes so it absorbs all the aroma and the flavor of the ginger, the garlic, the onions, the spices that we use. So we have to now add the spices. So to add the spices, now here we will be adding about 1.5 teaspoon of salt. Salt is as per taste. About 1 teaspoon of red chili powder. About 1.5 teaspoon of turmeric. About 2 teaspoons of coriander powder. So these spices that I've added in the onion, garlic and ginger are really strong spices, and they take longer to cook because they are very strong and they take longer to release this aroma and the spice, the flavor into the masala. So once you see that the masala has changed its color, you add the tomato puree. So once you've added the tomato puree, you need to make sure that it's all mixed well. And once it's mixed well, you need to cook it till you start seeing that the tomato puree, the whole masala, has started leaving the oil. So it starts separating the oil from the masala. which takes about 5 to 7 minutes. So we'll let it cook. So whilst this is cooking, I'd like to give you some travel tips of India if India is on your bucket list. So India is a huge country. It's a very diverse country, and it really depends on what you would like to experience, what would you like to see when you come to India. Because as I told you, it's a huge country and there are various aspects, there are various things that could interest you. So if forts and palaces interest you, then don't miss to go to Rajasthan. Now Rajasthan is also one of the most colorful states. And the reason why I say that is not just because of their beautiful dresses, but because major cities of Rajasthan is distinguished by a color. So there's a pink city, which is also the capital of Rajasthan, called Jaipur. There's a blue city called Jodhpur, a golden city called Jaisalmer, the city of lakes, and the most romantic city and one of my favorites, Udaipur. If you wish to see a safari, Rajasthan also has a national reserve called Ranthambore. If you wish to see the spiritual side of India, then don't miss to visit the capital, the spiritual capital of India, called Varanasi. If you wish to have a relaxed holiday and you just want to relax amidst nature, then don't miss the God's own country called Kerala. It's got beautiful beaches, backwaters, temples. No matter wherever you travel in India, make sure that you end your trip in one of those quiet, serene places. And my go-to would be Goa. So no matter, even if you travel to North India or central part of India, Goa is just a flight away. So it's very easy to travel within India because it's very well connected with trains and flights. And I would personally suggest that if you travel to India, do have an experience of an overnight train. Yes, when you're traveling in India, you need to have an open mind. You need to be open to experiences and embrace the bizarre. Because we have so many beautiful cities and states to show, and the best way to travel is in the trains or taking a flight. But again, flight is something that you would take anywhere to go to any country. But to experience the overnight train in a particular country is an experience in itself. And my suggestion would be, whenever you travel to India, make sure that there's a festival that is something you could witness on your trip. Because India is a diverse country, has so many religions, and we love celebrating our festivals wholeheartedly. So my favorite festival is the Festival of Color, which is called Holi. And it comes in the month of March, and I would personally suggest it's a great experience. So if you do plan to plan a trip to India, that's the month that you're looking at. So another tip that I would like to give you when you're traveling to India is the climatic conditions, the weather. Now, usually when we travel to a country, we just see which weather, what kind of climatic condition is ongoing. So we've got 4 primary seasons. That's summer, winter, monsoon, and post-monsoon. Now, although when you Google it, you would find out that India is in winters or summers or monsoons or post-monsoons. But again, because it's a vast country, the climatic conditions can vary. So now if you're in, say, further up north or in the hills, what you would feel or experience the winter to be would not be the same winters if you go down south. So there's a likely chance that you might pack just a lot of like sweaters or warm clothes. But if you go down south in winters, it's not as cold. Similarly, you have to make sure that when you are going to the hills, how cold does it get? So when you try to find out about the weather in India, make sure that you find out which city you're traveling to and what kind of weather would be around the time that you travel. So you're all set and ready and packed with the right kind of clothes. So we have our tomato cooked, Now I can see that it's already leaving oil on the sides, and that's a sign that the tomatoes are almost cooked. And as I mentioned earlier, there were strong spices that I added to the masala, and the longer you cook those, the stronger the flavor gets. So now what I will be adding is fenugreek leaf. So this is a light spice, so it does not require a lot of cooking, and it requires the right kind of temperature. So I will add about, if you can crush it like this in your palm, then the leaves will release more flavor in the masala. So I've added about 2 teaspoons of fenugreek leaves, and now I will add it and mix it well in the masala. I will add about 1/4 of water, and then cover it and let it cook for another 3 to 4 minutes, so that the spices and the ingredients that we've added mix well together and are cooked properly. So if your tomatoes are not cooked in the right temperature or not cooked properly, then the curry will taste a bit raw. So when I saw that it started separating the oil, that's when you know that it's properly cooked. So now I will cover it with a lid and wait for it for another 2 to 3 minutes to cook. So sorry, I was talking about the weather. So that's one. Another is when you come to India, I know that you love Indian curries and you want to have Indian curries for all the 3 meals. Now a lot of times people worry about Delhi belly. So there's a likely chance that you might have a stomachache, and a lot of people mistake it to be food poisoning. But it's just the kind of spices that we use. As I mentioned, it's the spices have a warming effect on your body. So a lot of times your digestion is improper because of that. So I always suggest my travelers that maybe after 2 days of having Indian curry, maybe on the 3rd day, eat something that's light or something that you're used to eating back at home. So that keeps your gut healthy, keep yourself hydrated, and if you can have probiotics, that's always healthy for your gut. So these are few tips that I could give you today, and few tips on cooking. So I really hope that you enjoyed the cooking tips, the travel tips. India is a beautiful country. It has so much to offer. Even traveling from one state to the other, from one city to the other, you'll notice that there's a difference in the culture, the way people dress up, the way people talk, the food that they eat, the music that they listen, the language. Everything changes from one state to the other. And India has 28 states. So you can imagine what India has to offer. And there's so much that you can learn about Indian culture. So I invite you to come travel with us and explore India. It's a beautiful country, and I wish that we get to see you travel in India soon. We can't wait to share this big, beautiful world with you once again. Remember to stay connected. The world needs more you. Namaste.